and it let out this blood-curdling, guttural scream.
On the side of the road, he sees a deer carcass and something eating on it, which he thought was a bear. And as the lights hit it, it stood up. And, like, this gives me chills talking about it. He said it stood up and it had the face of a man.
Hello and welcome to Bigfoot Live. That's right, it's Friday night here at the Bigfoots of America podcast show. I'm your host, Bryan Sawyer, coming at you. This is the hopefully Happy New Year 2026 episode. So if you're tuning in, thanks so much. We're going to try to keep track of the comments. We didn't do that last week. We had some technical difficulties. But Michael Gale, hey man, how you doing? I checked the email, Michael. Let's get together. Let's talk about what you had sent me because I didn't think I got it. All right. Michael Gill's been on the show before. Fantastic encounters. He saw a UFO on the back of a flatbed truck when he was in the military. He also saw a Bigfoot, wonderful Bigfoot eyewitness, just a brother in arms. So, yeah, we are live. All right. So let's deal with a couple of issues. We're live on my Facebook profile, Bryan Sawyer. We are live on my YouTube channel. I can see the comments from the YouTube channel. Hopefully soon I'll get the Facebook comments here in a minute. But also, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's how you help us. Also, we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on Instagram, almost all the social media platforms. We also have pages. First of all, we have the private group of Bigfoots of Michigan and the Bigfoots of America podcast show. You got to answer some questions to be in that group. We also have the public Bigfoots of America podcast show group. Then we have a couple of pages, the Bigfoots of Michigan TV series page, Mishfoot, which was actually our first Facebook page. And then now we've had an old one, which we started up called Forest People. So if you can find those on Facebook, like, subscribe, follow, do all that kind of stuff. Well, my goodness. I'm going to look at myself on Facebook here to try to see some of the comments. I don't see them yet. I'll try to chime back in. Tonight, we're getting kind of interesting again tonight. Got a couple of guests. We might have a couple more guests chiming in. We're going to talk about some things which the general public does not understand about Bigfoot. Number one, I'm going to be kind of focusing on this book for a second. If everybody's heard of Thinker Thunker, I don't know if you have or not, but his book, How to Find and Film Bigfoot. And I kind of want to know what you folks at home think about all this. We're going to deal with a couple of things, and then we'll have a talk about it. And you guys chime in with your opinions as well. But let's go ahead and bring our guests. Let's go see who's backstage. All right. We have Cheri Radu. Welcome, Cheri. Good to see you again. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thanks for being on again. Of course,
Sure.
Cheri is one of our moderators, along with Brenda Goodwin and Cheryl Green of our private Bigfoots of Michigan, Bigfoots of America podcast show private group. So thank you for all you do, Cheri.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to bring, this guy, man, he has done nothing but help me. What a very knowledgeable man. I'm just not going to say any more. Matthew Sexton. Come on in, man. You're the next contestant.
Hey, how's everybody doing? It's great to be on the show again.
Hi, Matt.
Hi.
Hold on a second, guys. So I want to look here. All right. So there's that. I'm checking something out. Hold on, guys. My apologies. All right. So I want to deal with something. I'm going to set you guys up. I with what we're going to talk about, it's nuts, okay? The general public is going to be saying, what, are you crazy? Well, I did a little post earlier where I was made up. So there's a makeup artist I know, a friend of mine. He did the Hobbit movies. He made up one of the Hobbits in the Hobbit movies. I think Nori. So he was the makeup artist for the Hobbit named Nori in all the Hobbit movies with, I forget what's the director's name? Anyways, the big ones, the big movies. So this guy made me up, and I did a post today, and I also made it my profile pic, and I'll show it to you really quick because it cracks me up. This is it right here. So this is me driving a car in the ghetto. And I turned it into a meme. I said, when you realize that Bigfoot isn't Gigantopithecus. In other words, much smarter, probably could be even smarter than we are, as an possible interdimensional being. So I got to thinking, and I got looking. So if he's an interdimensional being, but a lot of people still believe he's Gigantopithecus. So I think Thinker Thunker, I'm not sure what his opinion is, but he had some pretty interesting comments here. So I want to read some of these to you to kind of set us up to get moving. So he says that all truth passes through 3 stages. First, it's ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as being self-evident. Now, I think that is so applicable to the subject of Bigfoot. Because think about it, especially going back to the 50s and the 60s, other than the Patterson-Gimlin, and even that was so ridiculed. People are like, oh, you're nuts. There's no big apes out there. You guys are crazy. So you had to deal with the ridicule. And then when we deal with the second step, which is violently opposed, think about, to me, that reminds me of the government and how the government for so long has said, oh, what are you talking about? They don't exist. But now I think we're finally, like UFOs, we're finally entering the third step where it is accepted as being self-evident. And because there's getting to be so much evidence out there, nobody can refute it. If you've got 100,000 eyewitnesses to something, aren't you gonna kind of finally give in? So with that said, let's deal with something else. Really quick, this is for me. Because I'm still, what am I, Matt? I'm only, 3-4 years into this? So I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Still learning. So I still believe in some of the simple things. Like, let me get all my props here. Like game cameras. Okay? Hold on. I even have an 8mm, with the Patterson-Gimlin.
Oh, man.
Was filmed on. All right? I've got cameras. I've got scopes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have my favorite tool, this thermal. I still believe, we measured it the next morning, somewhere between 8 and 9 feet tall. I caught that Sasquatch sneaking up behind me. Okay. That's in, I think, episode 11 of season 2. Matthew, you are episode 10 of season 2 of our Bigfoots of Michigan TV series called The River Walkers. So look at this. I got an infrared little camcorder. There it is, chiming in. I still believe in all the tech stuff, even this year. Oh, yeah, I got the digital Zoom recorder, but I even am going to try this cassette recorder because I'm like, hey, maybe it has less of an electrical signature out there. All right, so we're throwing all the stuff out there. You have your cell phones. You got your battery packs. You got your range finders. I also have this really cool, where is it? This is a laser pointer. So like if I'm like, hey, Matt, I just saw one behind that tree, and then I can point it. So these are all my fun tools. But as Matt knows, because he's waited for me for an hour as I lug all this equipment
It's crazy.
into the woods, he laughs and he shakes his head. He even asked me last week, he's like, hey, you want some help carrying this stuff out? And I'm like, no, I'm kind of like, I'm the guy responsible. I brought it all. I need to man up and take it out. With all of this, I still believe that you may be able to catch Bigfoot off guard. With all of this said, what are your guys' thoughts about trying to find Bigfoot and trying to get him on film? Or that?
Oh, man. Do you want to go first, Cheri?
Well, to catch Bigfoot on film, to me, would be an intentional thing to try to do, right? You're trying to put an intention out there that I'm just going to find him and put him out on a film when his intention is to stay hidden from sight. So, I mean, that's a crapshoot to me, in my opinion, because I think I think if they want you to find them, you would have a lot more evidence of them in clear fashion if they just wanted you to know they were there. To find them and put them on film is, I think, a very rare opportunity. If you do catch them like that, I mean, that is a blessing, in my opinion, to be able to do that.
Wow.
Hold on, Matt. Hey, Kevin True, I'm looking at some of the comments. Michael Gale says hello, my friend. Kevin True is in the house. He says hello. Donna Copas says hello. Goodwin says hello. So we got people chiming in right now.
Oh.
Good to see all you people. We're live on Facebook on my personal profile. That's Bryan Sawyer, and the YouTube channel. All right, Matt, go ahead, man. I mean, I think I know where you're coming from. But let me say this. We know without it being said that everybody, all these Bigfooters now, because there's so many more of them, everybody's trying to get the next Patterson-Gimlin level type film. So, are we going to be able to do it, Matt? What are your thoughts?
I think if you were trying, the best way would be to not try.
Mm-hmm.
I think because you got to have the trust first.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I spent years and years going out thinking, every time I went out and came back empty-handed, I would tell myself, what am I doing wrong? I know they're here and they won't interact or let me see them. And I've done that for years and years. And then I realized keeping everything as simple as you can was the best way. Just go out, enjoy nature, little technology. I started putting electronics in a Faraday bag, and then I found that to help a lot too. And I think, I mean, there's a lot of people trying to get friggin' evidence. So I think we're underestimating how smart they are. Because, I mean, what we know, I think, is the tip of the iceberg about these things. I think there's got to be more abilities, and there's got to be there's a lot we don't know that's going on because they really avoid us. And I don't think it's a good idea. I think you should spend time with them in their areas and around them for a while so they're comfortable around you because they just leave. Like whenever I go out, they'd leave. And then I got to where they'd stay. I knew where I couldn't go. And then it got better from there.
Do you think, now here's what I noticed. I first noticed it when I've been out with you. And then now it was one of the locations. I don't say locations anymore on air because of, something happening. I figured somebody was following, something happened, something weird happened. So I don't give out locations anymore. But I've been out with you multiple times, Matt. Been out with you, Cheri, a couple of times as well. Even though I still believe in the old tech, that is me just wanting to believe in the old tech. I wrote down because I was just kind of Now, both of you have had eyes on. I've had eyes on through a camera, through the thermal, and I believe I've got that one picture of Scout. I got that picture of him. So I was listing out all the things that I've experienced already, and I've experienced howls. So that was the last time we were out, Matt. You had fallen asleep, and the loudest Sierra sound howls. Okay. Then right around that same time, at a different location with, I believe, a different Sasquatch clan, I heard the samurai chatter. Okay. We have found multiple footprints together and by ourselves. The Y stick has been a big event with me. I first learned about that from our Bigfoot eyewitness, Angie Elizabeth, how they would stick Y sticks in their front yard, a sign of friendship. So I now believe, and then the visits I've had at the house, I believe it's on a friend gifting level. These things happen when, I mean, the one in front of us, when we heard it standing in front of us, and we had the thermal on and we still couldn't pick it up, Haley and I still believe, you know, it knew we were there, it was ready for us, and it knew about our tech.
Yeah.
I feel that they're gifting, because we go in, Matt, when we go in, dude, we do a perimeter. We gift them what they want, you know, under your direction. And then it seems like we find the footprints. We find the Y6. I hear the howls. And now the samurai chatter. Yeah, and my other private group of people on their private land, they've also said, hey, don't bring your stuff. Just come sit at the fireplace, and that will draw them in as we just kind of sit and have a good time. We're just as interesting to them as they are to us. So
Yeah. So now what happens is, since I got a different relationship with them, because I've earned their somewhat trust, is I went back out there after that. And then I did a tree knock and a whoop, and then they yelled at me. And then he got closer, and then I yelled again and did it again, and he got even closer, and he was coming up. And then I ran up to where he was, because I knew he was close then. They like to just stay outside of the light. And then I asked him a lot of questions, and then I just went about my business. But the screaming, now the screaming they used to do it all the time, and I just ignore them. So now when they start screaming, I usually yell back, and that gets them going pretty good. And then, but like, that's why I go to bed, because since I've been yelling back at them, they're not going to want to do it as much with me being awake, because they know when I'm sleeping. So I'm like, well, I'll go to bed, and then Brian can have his interactions.
I thank you, because the last time we walked through the woods, we did a Bigfoot live, and I could not believe. See, to me, there are no coincidences. The timing is impeccable. We go out, you take me out, we go way out to the peninsula. We find those footprints on the bank. By the time we get back and settle in, you're a hardworking man. You work a ton of hours. As soon as you start snoring, I was just in my mind processing, oh, I need to get my digital recorders out, so in case there's any. And just as I'm starting to think of it, and I kick myself to this day for not being ready, I hear the loudest, most powerful Sierra sound, whoop, 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 just so loud that I always say this, but when you hear it, you don't sit there and go, oh, I wonder if that was a Bigfoot. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Dude, so our tent's here, the river's here, and it must have been maybe on the bank. And here's what I think, Matt, and I think I told you this. I think they knew we were out there, and of course, you probably agree, and they waited till we got back in our tents. And to me, that one was sounding off, letting the rest of the clan know that we were in our tents.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can start learning all their habits the more you go out there. And then you'll start learning, like they take the apples when I'm sleeping too. And I know that. But last time I went out in the woods at nighttime, and then I got lost, and then when I got back after a couple hours, my apples were gone. Right after, like
Whoa.
2 hours after dark. I'm like, I think they stood in front of the fire when I was trying to find my way back, and I couldn't find my way back. Because
Oh.
I looked back, I could see the fire, and then I looked over, and then looking at something, and then I looked back, and I couldn't see the fire anymore.
Did you have your compass?
I didn't have nothing. I was in a pair of shorts and briars. It was
Oh,
it was
no.
bad. It was bad. The river was way
Mm-hmm.
steep. It took me a couple hours to find my way back. It was bad.
Oh man, glad you made it back safely, man. And
Yeah.
that was, that was August because we had that cold spell here, and then all of a sudden, we're freezing at night. It got down to what, the
Yeah.
50s
40.
or 40s.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. We're gonna chime in with some of our people. Bev Estrada says hello and happy New Year on the YouTube channel. Deanna Rickstraw says hello and happy New Year. I am Vrax. Vrax says this is great information. Thank you, guys. We'll get to the Facebook channel. Let's see. Kevin True says, I would say you don't film until you're actually in front of them. I believe he can detect signals from cameras, especially when they're recording. It is possible, especially with the barometric pressure and the equinox being just right. I believe it can happen considering Kevin was able to take the picture of the porcupine Sasquatch. Yeah, Kevin True's episode on our Bigfoots of America podcast show. He's got a couple of pictures. They're a little bit blurry, but man, that is more than most. Cheryl Yardley Presser says, hey, Brian. And then Kevin True also says, but wind direction also plays a big part. Good deal, good deal. Brenda Goodwin says, catching them off guard seems to be the only way. I think, yeah, and that is so rare and far between. Like maybe something else is distracting them, and they're not fully aware. They're paying attention to something else when you come in. All right, Cheri. So we're talking backstage, and I don't know what do you want to say. I don't want to insert anything we were talking about backstage. If you don't want me to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like I said, backstage, I was saying I share a lot more backstage than I do up front. Mostly because it's like I don't know if the audience is ready to really know what we know. I think there's a fine line between that. What is the audience ready to hear, and what is the real story, the truth of things. But Matt and I were talking backstage. We were still talking about cloaking and how they cloak. In my personal experience with it, with the three beings that I had encountered in cloak fashion. And what was interesting with the being that was the larger of the three, I sensed it was more of a he. And when he was standing there, we had a down tree between us, and the down tree sticking out into the lake and over the water. So that's what separated us, but he was on the other side of it. And I had mentioned, and it was explaining that his cloaking was kind of like a blurry, kind of like, it looks like heat wave kind of a look, but you could still see the shape. I wanted to mention that, Matt, that I could still see the outline shape of him.
Yeah.
So I wanted to mention that. But also his ability or his energy force field around him it takes a lot of energy to cloak. That it was actually making like the straight tree branches warp, like it was moving with it and warping and bending. So that was a pretty far, I would say, distance between where he was actually standing and where I was standing, in that tree between us. I would say that had probably maybe 7, 8 feet between, distance from that tree to where I saw him standing. So that's a
Oh,
pretty far out manipulation of energy
yeah.
around that area. And the other two were more behind him, so further back, off to the side. So, I was fascinated by that, Brian, because if that ability to be able to manipulate not only their energy field and their ability to cloak, and it was also demonstrating too that they have the ability to bend energy around them. And I know, Matt, you've mentioned that too, where you felt like you walked through a portal at some point as well and felt like you were in another dimension. I have also done that too. Now, when that has happened to me, this was before my experience that I've ever had with Bigfoot. So
Yeah.
it makes me wonder how many times was I out there and they were cloaked. I didn't know, but actually walked through a potential part of their portal and I backed out because I would feel sick and like not sick, but like disoriented,
Yeah. You feel
like
off.
dizzy. Yeah, it would make me feel dizzy, and I thought it was because I was watching so much of the wave action going back and forth that it had caused me to become dizzy. When the reality of it was more like probably more like I had started entering into an area that I did not realize at the time that was being manipulated. But more and more I think about things and the experiences I've had and understanding cloaking and the manipulation of the energy and the matter around them, I started realizing that there was more going on than I really expected, Brian, that I never thought of until I'm learning more and more about these things. And the more we talk to these eyewitnesses and people who have experiences with these beings, um, do I realize that I was probably in their area a lot longer than I thought I was, than just 2 years ago. I've been out that area for many years
Yeah,
for that.
sorry to cut you off, but you said that the people who were with you, they couldn't see you any longer because you
No,
had.
because they were about 100 yards behind me when I was stopped by them. And the large one said, "Do not pass this point." So I stopped and I said, "Okay, I'm whatever you prefer." And I turned around and of course I saw my folks with me, but they were about 100 yards down the beach. Now you understand, a beach shoreline, you could see a long way. And 100 yards isn't that long. When you look over water or you look over a desert or flat land or whatever, 100 yards is quite short in appearance compared to when you walk it. And the couple said, "Where'd you go?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." They didn't see me. Then at some point I was somewhere else or blocked from their view up a straight shoreline, which isn't that far. So I had to explain without putting the fear of them in them. I had to explain that we just can't go any further.
Gotcha. Let me check in with the folks at home. Fred Q8U says hello from Northwest Georgia. Hi, Fred. And he says it's raining there. Okay. All right, Michael Gale. All right, we'll talk. All right. So Brenda Goodwin said catching them off guard seems the only way, and she is fully Team Woo, meaning believing in the paranormal, the interdimensional side of things. Tom Rudder says, and this is for you, Matt. He says, "Just curious, Matt, if you have ever placed a GoPro towards your vehicle while you were out doing surveillance."
No, I've never done any filming. I have a GoPro. I bought a new GoPro. I got all the attachments for it, tripods, all that stuff. I've never used it. I've never tried filming because when they leave tracks and I take pictures of the tracks, they cover them up. So, and then what they do when they get mad at you is that when you do stuff like that to get evidence, they would put me on a timeout. They would avoid me and stay quiet for like 2 weeks.
Mm.
And then I'd have to wait it out until they started interacting again.
Well, I totally believe you because this picture here, and I've shown it before, and this is what I showed you, Matt. That's what they did to me. I took a picture of it, and then a buddy of mine, George Lunsford, this picture here, boy,
Yeah.
1.5 to 2 inches deep, beautiful footprint, mid-tarsal break there. Took this picture of it. I came back probably within 36 hours, and Matt, not like I covered it up where you could see a remnant of a footprint or see it packed in and uneven. Matt, it looked like it never existed in the first place.
Yeah, that's what they do. It's like it was never there.
Ex-
They don't just cover the track up, they do like a spread out area. It's cool. It was weird.
All right.
Cause then I seen the track and then I came back the next day and then I took a picture of it and it was still there. And then I came back the next day and everything was covered up. The
Wow.
whole the whole area. Yeah. I'd like to go back and talk more about the cloaking
Mhm.
Go for it.
because when I see them cloaked, it's usually like straight, kind of wavy lines going up
Mhm.
and down, and they're like probably like 6 inches wide,
Mhm.
like a curtain.
Mhm.
Because he'll run by me once in a while, and then he'll let me see him like that. And then I think with the portal thing, I think because I wanted to sneak up on him, but there's no real way to sneak up on him. So I crossed the river and was going where one of the day watchers were. And then, so I think the alpha, he's a big guy. He's got a pot belly too. He's he's not like the young fit day watcher guys. And then so when I went through there, I think the alpha opened the portal and then I went through with them because I've never tried to sneak into their areas like that. So I think I caught them by surprise that way. And then it was weird because I think it's transferring to the 5D realm. And then because after I crossed, it was like a veil. It was like it was like a line going through the earth. And then it was kind of wavy. So I stepped from here and then I was in somewhere else, but it was so overwhelming. I don't think I could have survived there for 2, 3 hours. And I think that's what they did with you was try and get you away because
Mhm.
there's got to be side effects. That and if the portal closes,
Yep.
you're stuck there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think my commitment to you, Matt, is the next time we go out, I'm not going to bring any tech, okay? I'll
All
bring
right.
the phone and I'll put that in that little bag that you're talking about. But, if it wasn't for, gosh, so much information gathered by being with you. You're so knowledgeable. And then just hearing stuff, even when you pass out, you're used to activity. And then you pass out, and then I get to hear the activity. So I want to kind of honor that. All right, we're going to chime in with the folks at home. We got a lot here. So hold on a second, guys. Woo, we got a lot. Okay, we'll do Donna Copus first. She says, I call it shimmer. They are
Mhm.
right there in plain sight, but just blind into the woods. So she called it shimmering. Yeah, it's like they're there, but they're not there. They blend. Okay, they blend into the woods. So she calls it shimmering. They're right there in plain sight, but yet they're blending into the woods, kind of like the predator type cloaking. Um, and Brenda Goodwin says if her horses could only talk, and we know that to be
Yeah.
Brenda Goodwin's going to have an episode in our season 3 coming up here in just a couple of months. I just started editing all of season 3, so that's going to get processed out over the next couple of months. Let's chime in with that was Facebook. Let's chime in with some of the YouTube people. IMVRAC says, I've experienced what appears to be a Sasquatch regularly swimming or fishing off the bank near his cabin at night while I'm by the fire. I believe they may be using my property as a natural corridor or a shortcut to the lake. That's crazy because Chad Skolton, he's got an episode coming up in season 3 as well. He moved into a cabin and the backwaters of the Thunder Bay River up by Alpena, Michigan. That episode's coming. I was up there for a couple of days, and his cabin was empty for 10 years. And I think they got used to cutting through there. And so now he's there, and he has seen them walking through 7-8 times, cloaked, walking through, and he says it's just like the Predator. And then sure enough, that night when I spent the night, I had banging on my cabin. So shortcut to the lake. And he believes that the behaviors are intentional, such as leaving small gift like feathers or stones, what look like glyphs, tossed acorns, or pine cones as well. Totally agree with him. I am Virax. Thanks for your comments. He's going on. He says, as whistles, growls, or grunts for individuals who find themselves in a similar ongoing situation. Do you have any, Matt, he says, do you or Cheri, do you have any advice on how best to respond or coexist when he's getting all this activity?
The biggest thing would be respect.
Yes.
I think because we don't really grasp what we're dealing with, because the power of these things is amazing. Everything's amazing. The power, the speed, the intelligence. I mean, they can run circles around us. And the fact that we're out there and then out in the middle of nowhere doing crazy stuff, that we're dealing with something that's between, I'd say they're between like 600 to like 1,400 pounds. We're dealing with something that can literally rip us in half and run up on us faster than we can do anything. I think respect is the key with them, because they're allowing us to go out and do all this crazy stuff. I mean, they see people constantly. I know where they wait by the trails and they watch hikers go by all day.
It's interesting you say that, Matt, because you've mentioned before that you've seen them, how fast they are, and they're like blurs.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And that coincides too with the recent Monroe monster sighting, where they said it moved so fast you couldn't see its legs moving. And I just saw a video which I think could be real, and it's so tough now with AI. But the guy's got the dog in the foreground, and this thing comes flying by, and it would actually have been like a car going, say, anywhere between 50 and 70 miles an hour. I took it. It was just like whoosh. But it looked as if it was on all fours too, and it was huge.
Yeah, I think the best thing is if they're messing with your house too or something, is just go out and talk to them when you know they're around.
Fred Q8U says, ask them to leave you a big fat fish. I laughed at that, Matt, because they're always stealing your fish when you're.
Oh, yeah. It's weird now too, because they started tree knocking right at dark, but they'll tree knock like 150 feet from me. It is loud.
Wow.
It's really loud.
You were the first one to tell me that you believe that they comes from their vocal cords, and then I interviewed a guy named the Mountain Man, and he coincided with that. Even with the clicks and pops, like he said, we wouldn't be able to understand their real names even if they told us, because they integrate so many clicks and pops as well as the tree knocking sound.
Oh, yeah, they're using vocals ranges we don't even have. That, and I spent years checking the trees for the tree knocks when I'd be fishing and they'd come around me. And then every time I hear a knock, I'd wait, because there was nothing I could do. I'd just say, I'm here fishing or whatever. But I'd go up and check the trees and there'd be no marks for them knocking. There'd be no sticks laying around, no big sticks that they could have used to bang on the tree, because it was close enough. I could tell like between like 3 trees, it would have been one of the 3 trees I was looking at.
Gotcha. Michael Gale says, even as a healthy military soldier, he can do the physical things that Sasquatch can do. All right. Jerry Lentz says, hello. Enrique Ricardo Zambrano says, I heard if you leave them something for them to eat, they will leave you something for you, like a collar of branches or some kind of fancy rocks. Great show, guys. Yeah, gifting. It seems like when we leave, in your case, Matt, that particular clan loves the big red apples, you know?
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I feel they respond to us by leaving those footprints. I mean, if you look at the video I just released on YouTube and all the Facebook platforms, where I'm talking about the Forest People footprints, half of those footprints are from our area, just at different locations, Matt.
Yeah, I think they were gifting us with them footprints.
I totally agree.
I've never seen that many footprints in my life, and they were all different ones, all different sizes and shapes.
Oh yeah, amazing. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, so let's chiming in. We're all caught up with all that. All right, so I think Thinker Thunker, and I don't know much about him, but I think he deals with the Gigantopithecus level. I'm not sure though. He says, does Bigfoot exist? Yes. How do we know this? Because of the non-believing masses continue to openly and aggressively peddle their same tired, old, uninformed opinions online, or the government hides it, or the news, and they label us crazy. So that's one. And then another question was, okay, if Bigfoot exists, why don't we ever find their bodies? All right, we'll give Thinker Thunkers, and then you guys can give me your thoughts, because I kind of agree with this. If Bigfoot exists, why don't we ever find their dead bodies? Well, maybe forest giants bury their dead like we do. All right? But as it turns out, people have been digging up giant skeletons ranging from 7 to 12 foot tall for years and years now from all over. The problem is that when these giant skeletons are unearthed, they always have a way of disappearing to never be seen again. And that's including giant skeletons donated to museums like the Smithsonian's.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, guys?
I think that, like the Minnesota Iceman, I guess the story was that the scientists looked at him, the frozen Bigfoot on display at the circuses, I guess he took him to.
Yeah.
And then I heard he went to Canada, and then he tried to bring it back across the border, and they took it. But the scientists were saying that it was impossible to do what was done with the hair, because the hair follicles, they didn't have the technology to put each hair follicle in the body like that.
Hmm.
So the scientists all knew it was real.
Too, I had heard one story of a Bigfoot eyewitness walking, and you don't know what's true, what isn't true. But this eyewitness supposedly walked up on a clan of Sasquatch burying a dead Sasquatch, and they were actually dismembering it and shoving it into a hollowed out tree stump and then burying the tree stump, and then this guy got out of here. I've also heard competing clans will cannibalize each other. If two alpha males go at it, and the one who gets defeated, he gets eaten by the winning clan.
Oh man.
Wow.
That's heavy.
Yeah, they got their own set of rules. We don't know a lot of them.
Oh, without a doubt. All right, let's check in. Okay, Michael Gill says they are part of the Nephilim. All right.
Yeah, I don't believe the Nephilim theory. I think they're separate. A lot of them are separate, because they're the ones that I've seen. Well, I've seen different ones too, and some look human, like an Indian, and some look like Neanderthals.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's this whole bigger picture. There's a lot of different things.
I'm glad you said that because I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw a picture and it said, hey, if you're a Bigfoot eyewitness, which one of these is closest to what you saw? But when I looked at them all, they still all had ape attributes. And that made me think of Cherokee Nation's Bigfoot eyewitness, a friend of mine, Sean Pettit. When he saw his Sasquatch, it was it was big and muscular, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, big, huge thing, but it had a human face. And then Kim and John from Escanaba, they had the story of the guy driving down the road and there was something eating on a dead deer carcass and he just thought it was a bear. And when it looked up, it had the face of a man. And that's in our opening, our intro where she's talking about it, so too, I'm like, boy, I would love to know. And I know it's hard. It's like I always say, it's like different types of dogs and cats. I would love to be able to kind of categorize them,
Well, you can see the difference in all the tracks.
Mm-hmm.
They all vary. There's skinny toes and long toes and big toes, and you're dealing with a big variety, not just one thing.
Right. All right, let's check in. Donna A. Copus, she says when she gifts, she makes them apple cake. And then Brenda Goodwin says, I saw the Iceman. Hold on, let me get my voice up here. I saw the Iceman at the Maple Hill Mall in Kalamazoo back in the 70s.
Holy smokes.
Gosh. Brenda, I did not know that.
That's cool.
Dills from the NCI, the North Carolina Investigators, part of the team I'm part of, says, hello, buddy boy. And Donna Copus says she agrees with you, Matt. All right. Yeah, I have no problem. Everybody has their own point of view. And that's part of my platform theory is, no, I want to hear what everybody has to say. And I want to hear what their opinions are. Because to me, the more information we have, the more knowledge we have. And everybody has a free will. You can choose what you want to believe. So, yeah, no, I think that's awesome. All right. Okay, how we doing on time? Woo. Oh, my gosh. I was thinking we were only a half hour into it. We are 47 minutes into it. All right, so that was Thinker Thunker's comment on that. Okay, according to respected sources, valid DNA samples have been found as well. So what we're trying to do is prove the existence of Sasquatch. Is it real? What is it? He says, unfortunately, though, either these samples are always declared contaminated by human, or a second lab would have to come forward and be willing to risk their good name and standing in the scientific and medical communities by being the first lab to verify a Bigfoot DNA sample, thus forever linking their name to Bigfoot. You know what? That makes sense. I've heard of the Dr. Melba Ketchum, where it was, what was it? It was human DNA of a mother, but an unknown father. But this makes a lot of sense. Even still, there's still so much stigma with believing in Bigfoot that people don't want to be associated with it.
Yeah, because they're part human.
Bingo.
Yeah, like David Pilates' new video. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
His new video, he explains that really well. He's like, if it was contaminated by me, it would be this heritage. And then it comes back, the samples would come back from a different human, a different ancestry of a different human from a different continent. So he said these people can't contaminate these things. They just come back as human because they are part human.
Yeah. And then Susan Moore, who I wrote it down somewhere. Where did I write it down? Oh, wait. Hold on. Susan Moore. Oh, I thought I had it. Well, Susan Moore, one of our eyewitnesses, she'll have an episode in season 3. She is a dogman eyewitness as well as a Sasquatch. I went out with her to the property a couple of times in her area where the Bigfoot are, and they were Matt, fantastic area. It was funny because they weren't throwing rocks into the river to scare us off. It seemed like whenever we headed towards the exit, they would throw rocks in the river to get our attention. And then finally we sat down and just kind of stayed calm. And you'll see in the episode, they even hit me smack dab. I've heard it before, their aim. They hit me smack dab in my headlamp. And it wasn't something that fell from the tree. No, I went.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was so amazing, but you'll see that in her episode as well. That was so much fun. So we talked about the interdimensional aspect. What about the alien aspect? Are they from a different planet, a different realm? I first heard that, I think, or I guess a more prominent thing was that they're dropped off here to do mining, possibly, because they're such good diggers. We know they have burrows, that they're dropped off here maybe to get mining the minerals for the spaceships, the alien spacecraft. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't think they were. What I believe is we were the ones put here to mine. I don't think they would.
Okay.
I think they're just a naturally evolved humanoid that has been here longer than us.
Okay.
And we're the ones that were put here because we're not evolved and we're trying to catch up to them.
Good point. Good point, brother. Hold on. Okay, I gotta catch up. Hold on. All right. Tim Coombo Baker says there are around 16 different types. I did see Tim Coombo's episode. I think it was Flash of Beauty or Face of Beauty. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he says there's 16 different types. I'd like to see some kind of sketches. Thank you, Tim Dills, for that. Kevin True says the mother Sasquatch that he saw was looking at Kevin and had more of a demonic looking face, and still wonder why the red eyes, but I know there are different species of Sasquatch. And yeah, I've heard of the same Sasquatch going from yellow eyes to orange eyes to red eyes. So it reflects their mood. And I think we've talked about that before on the show as well. Brenda Goodwin says, I've seen the red eyes in my hayfield. It was caught off guard. She might have irked them to be caught off guard, hence the red eyes. Gotcha. Enrique chimes in again and says the U.S. Air Force made a survival map, and they have a picture of Bigfoot as a dangerous animal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because the soldiers carry guns.
Right.
And you know what, Matt? Remember, you made a great point in your episode, season 2, episode 10, the River Walkers. When we found that teepee type structure, I loved your take on it, that was kind of like a crib where they make small ones. So when the adults go hunting, or even too, that when they are hunting and they start feeding, like a pride of lions, they kind of get that bloodlust a little bit.
Yeah, because I checked that structure for years. I'd go check on it all the time.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I'd camp in it, but I didn't got the guts to sleep in the tree structure.
Kudos to you if you ever do.
Oh my gosh, I know.
That is something I want to dig into more. I've known about tree structures and learned about it from you. I went out with a guy by the name of Greg Smith, and he started. So yeah, you'll see the TV structures and all that kind of stuff. He started showing me some more subtle things that I don't know if we addressed it or not, Matt, or it just didn't sink in, but they were pathways, and it was almost like entrances in acting and live stage and all of that. You have what's called entrances and exits. It's the beginning of a scene and the end of the scene, what you're doing, where you're going, how you're doing it. He started showing me those along this one. I can't give the location anyways. In Michigan, we'll say that. This one area where there were these subtle tree structures, like if he would have pointed them out, I might not have noticed them. Him and Chad Scolton. Just intricate weave things, and it was almost like they were road signs. So if you were another Sasquatch and you're like, hey, where's the rest of my clan? Oh, okay. There's my road map, so to speak. There's my road sign to take a right here to go this path. We've been out, Matt. You know that area a lot better than I do. I know my private people over here literally have a line of broken off trees as if,
Wow.
because this was another area where it was vacant for a long time. Okay. And then the new landowners purchased it and didn't think it. I'm trying to paraphrase everything. And this is episode 11 of season 2. The Watchers Among the Trees. They just start going out on their property, starting to kind of groom it a little bit. And the next thing you know, there's a Sasquatch standing there, or broad daylight, one's walking by. So it was an area where the Sasquatch frequented and usually didn't see people, but all of a sudden people are there. So then after that, the Sasquatch make a line of broken off trees, and it looks basically like a fence line, as if to say, all right, you humans stay over there and we get this part. It still is absolutely amazing.
That's cool. Yeah, I've seen a lot of tree breaks. I think the problem is too with the state land is it's always changing. So like they'll break a tree over a trail, but 3 days later it'll be gone because somebody will walk by and get it out of the way.
Right.
They'll give you that warning, and somebody will come through and cut it, not thinking nothing, because it's just their hiking trail. They don't believe they're even out there.
Right.
I don't know how the people in that area are not hearing these screams. Like these screams we're hearing, they're not far from houses. I don't know. It's
Right.
loud. I don't know how these people don't think they're there.
Oh, yeah, you have that one instance where the kayakers were coming down the river and the Bigfoot broad daylight, and they're still just screaming or howling?
Yeah, he was yelling. I was trying to check stuff out. I didn't have my water shoes with me, so I was barefoot. So I was walking up to the edge of the river to wash my feet, and then he started howling at me right when two kayakers were coming by, a male and a female, and oh my God, the looks on their faces. They forgot about me. They were just looking across the river. That was the first time he started getting real vocal with me, because that's where you keep the family group. And then I got right up to the spot right across the river, and then he let me know, hey, we're here. Stay over there.
Yeah, it seems like, you don't go into their inner sanctum and you're cool. All right, let's respond to some of the comments. We got a bunch again. See if I can catch up. Okay. Aya Virex says, have you, Matt or Cheri, ever had a scary or negative experience with them? And if so, how did you handle it? Are there things that I can do to let them know that we are not a threat?
Go ahead, Cheri.
Yes, I would say my first experience and only experience was very scary. But I was coming from a point of view that I didn't have a belief one way or the other. So in my experience and the way the encounter had unfolded up to the point where we were 30 feet apart, I was in a moment of, I can't believe what I'm seeing, kind of a state of mind. Yet I was terrified at the same time because this thing was so large, so big, and so active at getting my attention that it had frightened me so bad that it actually gave me PTSD. I mean, Bryan had helped me through this for quite a while. And it plays with your mind because of your belief system, and what you believe in. And then all of a sudden, I can't deny what I didn't believe in or didn't even know about. And you can't deny it. So I struggled a lot with PTSD. It lasted quite a while until I started to have to educate myself and be around folks like Matt and Brian and Brenda and other folks that were experiencing um, other clans and understanding their behaviors and how they interact. That not all of them are mean, but there are a few that are, and to be aware of these things. Now that I'm familiar enough with them and have done my own research and investigations and have witnessed and found evidence on our own, especially Brian and I, what we've done together, I'm starting to understand these things as this is real and it is what it is. Being Native American, helping me understand my beliefs, um, help ground me as well in what had happened, and it helped me a lot. But the education and being around the folks to help you understand what you saw was real, and that is what probably got me through it probably got me over the hump of PTSD. I'm not afraid of them. I don't think I would if I was to encounter. Well, I've had encounters back and forth with mine, and he's continued to visit, um, and we've stayed connected. That it has helped grow that relationship. I would call it friendship, maybe is the better word to describe it, and and it has helped me grow into the belief of Bigfoot and the existence of them. There's just more and more questions though that come out of it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, yours is a prime example. We needed your eyewitness encounters, Cheri, because
Mhm,
yours, at first it was scary, but as we started to dissect it and
mhm,
investigate it over basically a period of a couple of years, I think
mhm.
we agree that we come to the realization that Naboo was probably watching you for some time
Yeah,
and was aware of you, and then finally decided to make himself known.
yeah,
Yes, it was scary for you. But what did he say to you? He wanted to share, just like when you meet a stranger, if you go to a wedding or a party and you meet somebody new, you kind of share your life story. Well, he
mhm,
decided to show himself to you. And what did he do? He kind of shared his life story of what's been going down, what happened in that area. And it was actually devastating to think what I know this is going to sound crazy for the people at home because we're kind of traversing into a human realm here. The anguish, I know people at home are like maybe rolling their eyes, but I don't care. This individual Sasquatch experienced anguish and loss and
yes,
probably watched you for a while and then
mhm,
just wanted to tell you his story. And now
yes,
that we have that story, absolutely amazing. And someday when you're ready, Cheri, we'll share the rest of that story.
yeah. Matt's waiting too. He's very anxious about that. I think we're nearing that point, Brian. I really think, as our listeners are starting to learn from us as well and others that, this is a real entity. This is real. This is real. Um, that I think more and more we learn about their abilities and are able to experience with them their abilities and be able to share that with the folks that haven't had an experience. It's bridging the knowledge gap as well. We're
Sure.
getting closer and closer to the understanding. I know there's way more that we do not know, and
Right.
probably are way beyond our ability to understand. But what we're gaining is every year it seems like we're gaining so much more information out of it.
Yeah, more than likely, Cheri, we'll probably have to do one more filming because our thinking has evolved as well. And
Correct.
now that we kind of, not saying we have the full picture, but we have a lot of the information that the Sasquatch wanted to share with us. And so
Yes.
we're able to tell that story. And what's crazy about that, for day one, I've been saying, I want to tell the story. I want to tell what's happened with these. And I got part of that story. I felt like a download. I felt it was from God that beings, these creatures just want to be free. I was with Donna Copus. We just left the cemetery where part of her family is buried. Donna Copus, you're going to love her episode. Heavy encounters that Donna Copus has had. But when I was there, I just felt like I got a download that these things don't want any part of our human civilization type structure with government, and they just want to be free is what it is. All right, guys, let me go on. Nora, who is going to have an episode in season 3, Nora Scott, it says she exactly agrees with you, Matthew Sexton, what you said about the origin of Sasquatch. Moving ahead, Nora says where you couldn't move hold on, sorry, trying to get it off. Have any of you ever been or heard of being frozen or paralyzed by them? Not scared, but deliberately frozen where you couldn't move for a short period of time while being completely awake. Matthew, go ahead.
No, I've never had that happen.
Okay.
I've heard, but I've never had it happen personally.
Right. I've heard of one encounter. What about you, Cheri?
No, not. I have not experienced anything of that nature.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like, to me, it was similar to like where you were told not to go any further. It was like the person was held, wasn't full of fear, but was held like as if not to go any further. So, good stuff. Good question, Nora. Thank you for that. All right. Kevin True, sorry guys. Kevin True says because of the fear he experienced and his heart attack, it made the whole left side of his body go numb.
Oh.
Point where he had to get stents put in, and his experience really messed up his health from such fear. Yeah, real quick, Kevin True is an elk hunter. He's an elk guide. He takes elk hunters to the locations in Colorado to do elk hunting. He was up scouting some land where there might be elk. He was pursuing the elk. He found evidence of elk, and all of a sudden he looked up, and there was what he believes to be a mother Bigfoot grabbing a porcupine out of a tree and handing it to an adolescent Bigfoot. And Kevin's got those pictures. That write-up is on our bigfootsofmichigan.com website. You can see that write-up. But, of course, Kevin True, I believe he's episode 15 of the Bigfoots of America podcast show. Hey, Tracy Lynn says, hi, hon. How are you, Tracy? Tracy's coming up. Her episode, we're going to do an episode with her. Tracy Lynn was at the Land Between the Lakes in Kentucky and had an experience with Sasquatch. And her and I, and we'll talk about it more in the episode, but she basically was kind of, I don't want to say attacked, but approached by a Sasquatch really quick. And I got the vibe from it. I got the sense that it was the alpha coming in to see how much of a threat that her and her fellow campers were posing to him and his clan. So you'll hear that on an upcoming episode of the Bigfoots of America podcast show. Matt, you needed to answer, what was the last question?
The fear.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's been scary since day one. I ain't gonna lie. This is a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, what was one of the, I think it's the telepathy. The telepathy, they can make you super afraid. It's natural without even seeing them. And then the scariest time, I think the scariest time was getting that close encounter with the red hair one. It was like 10, 12 feet away. Because it wasn't even seeing him and being close. It was afterwards. It was afterwards because I was on a motorcycle and it got down into like the 40s and I couldn't leave the spot. I was stuck there and I just had this feeling like I was going to die like the whole night. It was rough just sitting there by the fire and I had to wait it out. It was rough.
Wow.
I always remember that encounter because you said this one key thing to me. You said These things are made for cold weather. And
Yeah.
when you said that, it was the density of these creatures, the durability of these creatures, the power of these creatures.
Oh yeah, they're outrunning deer, like for sure. They're the apex.
Yeah.
I sure hope, Susan Moore, who else? Oh, Angie Elizabeth. So we have two eyewitnesses, Susan Moore, Angie Elizabeth. Both have had good encounters with dogmen. The sighting by me in Carroll, Michigan, even though the guy cutting the lawn at the church who saw the dogman in broad daylight, even though he was scared half to death, the thing still didn't attack him. So there are instances, the Joe Barger eyewitness account is out there now in Small Town Monsters and the Confessionals. And that dog man, basically mine spoke to him and said, hey, I'm going to try to eat you. And there's nothing you can do about it. And Joe fortunately had a sidearm there, Colt 45, and was able to discharge a couple rounds. So yeah, it's tough. When it comes to Sasquatch, though, we don't find. Well, I can't attest to that. It seems okay. Let's narrow it down. It seems here in Michigan there are less hostile sightings, less hostile encounters. I've heard the horror stories here and there, but for the most part, I think they've been harmless. What have you guys heard?
Go ahead, Cheri.
Well, I would agree that I have not heard, only from what you and I, Bryan, have discussed off to the side of the aggressive ones. I have not heard of encounters that have been deadly in that regard or aggressive in that regard, where it was to the point where, there were injuries or even a death, right? I have not heard those from any of the eyewitness counts that I have read about or watched. But from a military point of view, you hear other things. So but you look at the two scenarios, and I think a part of the aggression is attributed to the fact that the people are either armed or they're not with firearms. And I think that brings out some kind of aggression towards the individual that it might be involved, because they are trying to protect their clan and their people, and they will act out. I think it's part of the how do you approach them with intention. And a lot of times, like in my case, I was caught completely off guard, so there was no threat, right? But when you talk about folks that have been in the military, and their mission is to protect as well, but with firearms, with power, and like that intention is set. So I think a lot of the terrifying incidences you find are usually, maybe with hunters as well, they're carrying something that can kill them. And so they're automatically viewed by Bigfoots as threats, and they're going to defend that.
Yeah, I think of Matt, and you can attribute, I've told you this story before. So I'm out there. I've got my film crew with me. We're in an area near where you and I have been, and I get approached by a hunter. It was the beginning of hunting season last year, and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? Hey, you can't be gifting, the deer, or you can't be baiting the deer." And I'm like, "Oh no, we're doing something else. Totally cool." And he looks at me and he's like, "Well, what have you been doing?" And he sees my hat. I'm always wearing all my garb. And he's like, he goes, "You got to be kidding me." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We think there's a clan in there." And he goes, "Well, that explains it." So even still, in this situation, the Bigfoot didn't kill him. This guy and his brother at 1, 2 in the morning were hunting, and they got surrounded by your clan, Matt. And
oh yeah,
And even though these guys had guns, these Sasquatch stayed just out of their headlamps. And this guy said him and his brother were so scared they didn't know what to do. And he ended up thanking me, going, "Well, now I have some answer for what had happened." He said, "It sounded like we got surrounded by a pride of lions. We didn't know what was going on, and we just had to go to the truck." And they followed us and surrounded us, kind of had like a horseshoe around us the whole way. So that alone, I know there's the rogue male. You know, you think of grizzly bears when they get older and they get a little bit sickly and they're not able to hunt anymore, that they might go after a human or something like that. To me, that's the case scenario. So, yeah, that, you know, maybe there's a rogue Bigfoot. And then two, we've talked about so many different aspects of Bigfoot, so many different types. You know, maybe the ones that are more animalistic, you know, it's a sickly loner and it's more of an animal type Sasquatch. Yeah, I haven't heard too much. I have to be careful because, yes, I know there's a lot of stories out there. But your group, Matt, they're a powerful group, but yet they're not killing people. I guess is what my point is.
Yeah, and I think that's why I don't run into game wardens, because they're carrying guns, and I think they know that they're not allowed
Gotcha.
because they're in the woods all the time, and you're going to learn quick where you can't go.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. All right, guys, let me catch up with some comments real quick here. Thanks for hanging in there. We're going a little bit long today, but a lot of comments. Okay. Nora says, "I got to thinking about the red eyes while looking at my pure white cats that have blue eyes. They reflect red. Interesting. An attribute. And two, I'd heard there were no Bigfoot with blue eyes, but a guy by the name of Ernie Davio says the Denisovans or Denisovans, Russia, a lineage of Neanderthal man, had blue eyes. Connection to a possible Sasquatch tribe or type having blue eyes. IMV Rex says when they scream at our cabin, 90% of the time it kicks off the coyotes and they get drowned out. I think you've had that happen, right, Matt?
Not where it's kicked off the coyotes.
Oh, okay. It's somebody else. I know there's somebody else who talked about that. All right. Okay, we've read that one before. Just catching up with all of these. Kenny Hess, J4Z says, "Hello, everyone." Thanks, Kenny, for tuning in. All right. People saying hello to each other. Okay. All right. I am V-Rex. Okay, I can answer this one. Cheri can answer this one. I think Matt can. Ask the question, do you think they are capable of mind speak or telepathic communication over long distances? Oh, such as from my cabin to my condo in the city, more than 200 miles apart. All I can say is I had the mind speak coming out of the back of my house. I think they were relatively close when that happened. But I don't know. What about you, Cheri?
Absolutely. Absolutely, they can do it, and distance has nothing to do with it. Once you're connected, and we've talked about this too in the past, that if it seems that once you have an experience or a connection, you're tagged in some way, they're tethered to you. I do believe that distance is irrelevant. Once you're connected with mind speak, they can definitely tap into your telepathic abilities. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Without a doubt.
Awesome. Matt, what say you?
Yeah, I think they're all connected too.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's this higher conscious that they're this one source that they're all tapped into.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because one group will treat you one way, and then you'll go somewhere else, and the other group will treat you the same. It's like they all know you. If they're all mad at you, they'll all avoid you.
Exactly.
Or if they're all okay with you, you'll interact with ones 200 miles away.
Wow.
I've noticed.
Man.
And then the dreams, it's wild. Like if I don't go out for a while, I'll start having dreams with them in it.
Me too. Yeah, I definitely, Matt. They start talking.
Yeah.
Where are you? When you coming back?
Yeah, I think they miss you too. I think it's
Yeah,
mutual.
From
absolutely.
season 2, episode what? 8? I can't remember. But yeah, her life with the Bigfoot family, same kind of activity. All right, Kenny Hess says, "Hey, happy New Year. I hit all the good shows, it seems, and the search is endless." Well, thanks for tuning in. Nora says, "Mindspeak does not know distances." Very cool. And then I am Virex says, "Thank you, Cheri, Matt, and Bryan. You are helping more than we know,
Good,
more than we can
good,
find." Awesome, guys.
wonderful.
Checking in on the Facebook channel. Jerry Lentz, who just had some orb sightings at the beginning of this hunting season at his special spot. Brenda Goodwin says she doubts she'll ever trust a dog man. Her mother had the sighting of a dog man in her front yard. That'll be in the episode coming up in season 3 that we have filmed. Jerry Lentz, who just saw the orb, says, "I agree. I have more happen when he's not carrying a weapon." So he has more activity when he's not carrying a weapon.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
And then Brenda Goodwin says, "They know when I'm talking about them, but they haven't done mind speak with me yet." All right, guys. Well, hey, anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap up the show?
No, this is a good one.
No, I think that we could talk on and about scenarios. Next week's another show.
Well, awesome. Well, both of you, I know I put both of you through a lot with all my questions, all my learning as well. And we've kind of, Matt, you've really been a great teacher, I could say. So I really appreciate everything you've done. Cheri, it's been wonderful. And yeah, it's up to you, but whenever you're ready to release the rest of the information from your episode, we'll do a part 2, and we'll probably do one more filming. I think I'd like to do to kind of put a period or an exclamation point at the end. Now that we have, most of the picture that I think Naboo wanted to present to us.
Yes, definitely. And after the next upcoming, I would call it excursion, investigation, research opportunity here, I think there'll be a little more information that'll be solidified.
Awesome. Yeah,
Cool.
I wrote that in my book, so keep it posted. But yeah, okay. So now, Cheri, where can people find you on Facebook, or where can they get a hold of you at?
Oh, you all can contact me through the Bigfoots of Michigan private group. I am a moderator there, so you can certainly find me there, or you can personal message me. I'm at Cheri, Cheri, Radu, Radu, and you can contact me that way as well.
Fantastic. All right, Matt, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm on there, and then you could email me at matthew.sexton46@yahoo.com. If you got any questions, don't be scared to get a hold of me.
And likewise here too.
'Cause
Absolutely.
I think the biggest thing is the Bigfoot's ready for us to share this information.
Yes,
So
I agree.
it's because of them I'm even talking about all
Right.
this stuff publicly.
Right. We always
So true.
show. We always do this little golf clap. So totally agree. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put you backstage right now. Stay there, okay? And I'll be back there in a second.
All right.
Okay.
All right, we're going to read a couple more comments here. Deanna Rakestraw says, "Great show." Deanna, thanks for tuning in. Tim Dell says, "Great show, buddy boy." Hey, thanks for tuning in. Nora says, to all of her friends, she knows us all. Thank you all. Can't wait to have Nora Scott's episode come out in season 3 here in just probably a month or two. All right. Kevin True says, "My girlfriend, she owns a home in North Dakota, about 45 minutes away from Mount Rushmore, close to Sturgis and told me 3 weeks ago there was a Bigfoot sighting there. So her and I are heading up there next week to check it out. All right, Kevin True, keep us posted what happens on there. All right, everybody, this is the, what is it? The hopefully happy New Year 2026 episode. And with an episode like that, how can 2026 not be happy? So much more to come. Thank you for tuning in. And as always, stay tuned for more of the Bigfoots of America podcast show.